A man's silence after heartbreak is not weakness, it's a battlefield after the fight. It's what remains when a man has given everything he knows how to give, only to realise that not everyone deserves that level of loyalty. The world thinks he's just gone quiet. What they don't see is the storm that already passed through him. He withdraws not to escape life, but to observe it. From a distance, with new eyes, he needs to understand. Where did it go wrong? What did he ignore? Who did he become while trying to save something that was already dead? That stillness is not cowardice. It's a man standing in the ruins of his old self, deciding what is worth rebuilding and what will never exist in him again. When a man finally chooses to be alone, when a man chooses to be single after heartbreak, people love to label it. They call him bitter. They call him emotionally unavailable. They call him afraid of commitment. But the truth is much simpler and far more dangerous to the world's illusions. It's not bitterness, it's clarity. He has done the experiment. He tried loving without limits. He tried forgiving beyond reason. He tried proving his worth through sacrifice. And he saw what it cost him: peace, sleep, focus, purpose. He realizes something that most men only understand much later, if at all. Peace is cheaper than pretending to be happy beside the wrong person, so he steps back, not because no one wants him, but because he finally understands that not everyone is worth what he carries inside. Society has a script. A man alone must be broken. A real man should be partnered, tamed, domesticated. Maybe. Or maybe the man who stands alone is the first one to break out of the cage. Men don't just move on. They carry the ghosts. People like to pretend men move on quickly. They say, he's fine. He's already dating again. Men don't care as deeply as women. That's the lie. Men remember everything. Not always as words, sometimes as sensations, sometimes as a tightness in the chest that appears when he hears a certain tone of voice. He remembers the effort that went unacknowledged, the joke that got dismissed with rolled eyes, the night he stayed up, calm in her storm, while his own mind was collapsing. The moment he realized that love had turned from a gift into an obligation. Those moments don't disappear. They stack. They build a quiet file in the back of his mind, marked, never again. From the outside, he looks calm. Inside, he's replaying. Every time his kindness was treated like weakness. Every time being the bigger person cost him his self-respect. Every time he chose peace over his pride and lost both. That isn't forgetfulness, that's emotional paralysis. That's what happens when a man spends too long carrying someone else's mood and never his own. He doesn't even know how badly he's hurt until his system finally crashes. The beer anger hits. The exhaustion hits. The emptiness hits, all at once. Not because he's fragile, but because he was strong for too long. For someone who didn't deserve it. How pain turns into a quiet rule, never again. Men don't always talk about their heartbreak, they rewrite themselves around it. Behind his silence, a simple, private rule crystallizes. Never again will I beg to be respected. Never again will I explain my worth. Never again will I confuse chaos with passion. Never again will I stay where my soul is slowly dying. The damage doesn't make him cold. It makes him measured. This is the part almost nobody understands. The so-called coal man is rarely cold. He's just a man who knows what burned him last time. He has learned that warmth given to the wrong person doesn't melt anything, it scorches. So if he looks distant now, it's not because he hates love. It's because he recognizes a certain kind of love he knows he cannot survive twice. The turning point, from blaming her to examining himself. There comes a point in a man's healing where something shifts. At first, he blames her lies, her selfishness, her immaturity, her disrespect. Then slowly, a harder truth appears. She did what she did. But why did I allow it for so long? he starts asking better questions. Why did I ignore those red flags? Why did I stay when my body already knew it was over? Why did I confuse being patient with being a doormat? What part of me thought love required me to abandon myself? That moment when he stops blaming and starts examining is brutal, because he realizes something most men avoid seeing. Not all wounds come from betrayal. Some wounds come from self-deception. He told himself, she will change. It's just a phase. I can fix this if I just hold on. He mistook endurance for strength. Now he understands. Real strength is knowing when to stop giving what isn't being valued. The problem wasn't that he loved. The problem was that he loved past the point of self-respect. That realization hurts more than the breakup, but it also opens the door to something he never had before. Ownership. Rebuilding from the inside out. Once a man accepts his part in his own suffering, the rebuild begins. Brick by brick. Quietly. The first thing that returns is not romance, it's discipline. He starts waking up earlier, he goes back to the gym, or trains harder, he eats cleaner, he reads instead of escaping, he works on his craft, business or mission with more intention, not for her, not to show her what she lost, for himself. Because he begins to see the connection. If I couldn't control my habits, how could I ever control my emotional life? Every rep, every early morning, every disciplined choice becomes a small vote. I matter. My time matters. My body, my mind, my future, these matter. His old chaos is slowly replaced with structure. Then comes the deeper work. Mental reconstruction. He sets new standards for the women he'll allow into his life, for how he speaks to himself, for what he will tolerate from others and from his own behaviour. He stops being the man who tolerates disrespect just to avoid being alone, gives too much, too fast to people who haven't earned it, mistakes drama for depth and intensity for intimacy. He doesn't become heartless, he becomes selective. He doesn't stop loving, he stops bleeding. What discipline really does to a man's mind. When a man rebuilds through discipline, something subtle but huge changes. He no longer sees himself as a victim of love. He sees himself as the guardian of his own life. Discipline does three things for him. It stabilizes his emotions. When his day is structured, his mind stops swirling as much. The same energy that was wasted on constant overthinking now fuels progress. It restores his self-trust. He starts to believe himself again. If I say I'll do it, I will. That might sound small, but for a man, that's the foundation of real confidence. It sharpens his filter. When he's disciplined, he can feel the difference between calm and chaos more clearly. He notices faster when something or someone is pulling him out of alignment. He learns that. He doesn't need anyone else to give his life meaning. Validation is optional. Respect is non-negotiable. He becomes a man who no longer chases emotional highs at the cost of long-term stability. That's when he stops asking, who will love me? And starts asking, who is worth sharing this with? Selective singleness. When being alone becomes a strategy. At this stage, his singleness isn't an accident, it's a decision. Younger men confuse alone with lonely. They rush to fill silence with noise, random conversations, aimless dating, endless scrolling hookups that numb more than they heal. But a man who has burned himself once learns something different. Loneliness is not the enemy. The wrong partner is. He realizes being with the wrong woman can drain him more than any empty room. Sharing a bed with someone who disrespects him feels lonelier than sleeping alone. Being needed is not the same as being valued. So he adopts a new rule. I will not sacrifice my peace just to say I'm not alone. Single, for him, is not void. It's recovery and preparation. He uses this time to build his body, build his finances, build his skills, build his internal backbone. He stops asking, who can I impress, and starts asking, how can I become harder to break, mentally, financially, spiritually? Because now he knows the goal is not to be chosen. The goal is to be unshakable. The shift from chasing love to evaluating it. Once he has healed enough, something powerful happens. He stops reacting. He starts observing. He no longer falls for pretty words, temporary affection. Performances of I care when it's convenient. He pays attention to how she handles disagreement, how she treats people who can't benefit her, how she speaks about her exes, her friends, her family, how she behaves when she's frustrated, tired, or disappointed. Because he finally understands. Character doesn't show up in comfort, it shows up in conflict. He no longer lives off potential. He watches patterns. Does she turn every discussion into drama? Does she use emotion as a weapon? Does she constantly test his boundaries to see how far she can push? If yes, he doesn't argue anymore. He doesn't try to fix. He doesn't prove how patient and understanding he can be. He simply withdraws, not from fear, but from respect for himself and for the life he's rebuilding. He's not looking to be consumed. He's looking to be complemented. Energy. What he now sees, that he ignored. Before a healed man starts reading energy, the way his younger self read faces. He feels who brings calm, who brings chaos, who speaks from insecurity, who lives from grounded confidence. A woman's energy reveals more than her words ever will. If she carries peace, he relaxes around her. His nervous system feels safe. If she carries drama, he feels his stomach tighten. His instincts say, "We've been here before, walk away." He trusts that feeling now. He understands, not every woman who is attracted to you is good for you. Not every connection is meant to be pursued. So no, he hasn't lost the ability to fall in love. He simply stopped falling blindly. Dropping the need to prove. He's a good man. Most of his life, he lived like he had something to prove. To women, to his family, to the world, to that inner voice that always whispered, be more, do more, give more. He thought being a good man meant saying yes when his soul wanted to say no, carrying burdens that weren't his, proving his loyalty even when it wasn't respected. One day, it hits him. Constantly needing to be understood and seen as good is just another cage. He stops, explaining his intentions to people, committed to misunderstanding him, arguing for his value, performing kindness just to avoid being judged. He understands you don't become a solid man by being universally liked. You become solid by being internally aligned. When he no longer needs applause, a new kind of peace appears, the peace of walking away without resentment, the peace of saying no without guilt, the peace of being alone without feeling incomplete. This kind of peace is not loud. It's a man sitting quietly, knowing exactly who he is, even if nobody else does. Ironically, that's when people start noticing him more. There's something about a man who is no longer chasing attention. Other men respect him, women feel intrigued by him. The room subtly orients itself around him, not because he's trying to dominate, but because his calm is rare. And what is rare is magnetic. When he finally opens up again. A healed man doesn't shut his heart forever. He just raises the standards at the door. He's not thinking, I hope someone loves me. He's thinking, if I love again, it has to protect what I built, not destroy it. He will open up again, but only when three things align. His peace remains intact around her. He doesn't feel like he's back on eggshells. His nervous system doesn't go into alert. Her actions match her words. No grand declarations followed by inconsistency. No I'm different while repeating the same patterns he's already lived through. She respects both his presence and his solitude. She doesn't demand constant access. She understands that a man with purpose will need time alone. With the right woman, he doesn't feel the need to perform. Silence doesn't feel awkward. Vulnerability doesn't feel risky. Arguments don't feel like war. He realizes love is not supposed to feel like walking through a minefield. Love, when chosen well, restores him instead of splitting him in half. He looks for emotional stability over emotional fireworks, respect over roller coasters, a partner, not a project he knows now. Loyalty is not just staying when things get hard, it's staying kind when things get hard. The final realization, singleness as realignment, not rejection. In the end, he understands something simple. Being single is not a sentence, it's a stance. It's his way of saying, I refuse to betray myself again for the illusion of love. His solitude is not empty, it's filled with purpose, training, learning, building. Quiet satisfaction that doesn't need an audience. He's not holding out for someone to complete him, he's becoming complete on his own. So that if love arrives, it's an addition, not a repair job. It's multiplication, not rescue. It's two whole people walking side by side, not one carrying the other. People will still misunderstand him. They will say, he's afraid of commitment. He's too picky. He has walls up. They're wrong. He doesn't fear love. He fears repetition. He's not hiding from connection. He's filtering for alignment. He knows what it cost him last time when he surrendered his peace. He knows how easy it is to lose himself trying to make it work. So he protects what he rebuilt. That decision, invisible to most, is what makes him powerful, the man who can stand alone. The man who once loved with everything and watched it burn carries a depth others rarely understand. He knows love without respect is slavery. Passion without peace is poison. Attention without loyalty is nothing. So when he chooses to be single, it's not because no one wants him. It's because he finally knows exactly what he wants and what he will never accept again. If love comes again, it will be honest, not manipulative. It will be calm, not chaotic. It will not demand. That he abandons himself. And if that love never comes, he's at peace with that too, because his life is already full of quiet victories, of internal respect, of the kind of happiness that doesn't need to be posted or praised. He's no longer searching for someone to save him from solitude. He has learned to make solitude his ally, and in that space he discovers the final truth. A man who can stand alone is the only man truly capable of loving freely, because he no longer needs love to survive. He chooses it from strength, not from hunger. Men who choose singleness after heartbreak are not avoiding life, they are mastering it.